Then it says, then the next step is to learn to witness the thoughts going on in your mental train. You see, it's not that we learned a skill that says, oh, here it is, now how do I let go of it? Which really means, how do I get rid of it? If we're honest with ourselves and we think, oh, how do I let go of it? What we're really saying is, how do I get rid of it? But if the new habit is there, that it literally automatically, when it comes forward, it automatically lets go, then it's a whole new ballgame. If we have a new trained habit, the habit being that when it comes, it goes. And when it comes, it goes. And when it comes, then it goes. And when it comes, it goes. Next, next, next. One after the other of those thoughts coming forward. If that has happened, let's go on with what he says. Then the next step is to learn to witness the thoughts going on in your mental train. Practicing, he says, Swamiji says, practicing and learning what? Practicing and learning to remain undisturbed, unaffected, and uninvolved. So the practice now becomes, I want this train of thoughts to come forward, because I have this new habit that when they come, they automatically let go. I don't automatically, my autopilot conditioned response is not that I grab onto it and worry about it or think about it, think about it, think about it. The new habit is it comes and it goes, and then another one comes and it goes, and another one comes and it goes. And now I'm witnessing all of them come and go and come and go and come and go and come and go, and I'm just witnessing all of them. Now the goal of the practice is different. I want them to come forward. And this is what we're saying with the thoughts. And this is where non-attachment really comes from. Non-attachment is not something we do by lying to ourselves, by saying, I'm not attached, I'm not attached, I'm not attached. It's just a big lie. We're totally attached, and that's important to see. That was back in that part in month number 2, where it was about adding that practice, or month number 1, where we're learning to sit still, and Swamiji used that place to talk about the mind, and Manas, Chitta, Ahamkara, and Buddhi. What was Chitta? That's the storage bank of memory. It all comes. It comes and goes. Then he says, another 3 to 4 months of regular meditative practice will allow you enough time to learn to deal with the conscious aspect of mind. And that's the part we're just talking about here. All the other part of this section was leading up to this so that we can have the mind having a new habit. New habit being that if the autopilot conditioning, the default position of the program in here, is that when it comes, it lets go. It comes and it lets go. It's not that I have a technique now that says when it comes, okay, now I'm going to let go of it, which means get rid of it. I have a new habit pattern that it comes and it lets go. Some level of personality transformation occurs from that alone. That's what he's saying here. Then the next step is learn to witness the whole thing. And in that witnessing, we want the thoughts to come. It sounds completely backwards to what many of us think meditation is supposed to be about. Get rid of thoughts. And it's not. We want them to come. Why? So that we can intentionally ignore them. Intentionally give them no attention. And from that, I learned how to be undisturbed, unaffected, and uninvolved. And that's called non-attachment. Then I'm not having to force myself into saying I'm not attached, I'm not attached, I'm not. It isn't causing a problem. It's just literally not disturbing anymore. And increasingly we come to see, well, they're all just thoughts. And there's a virtually countless number of thoughts back there that can come forward. And even if it's only the top 10 that keep coming forward, even if it's only the top 10, we learn how to be undisturbed by them, or the top 100. And then gradually they just get finer and finer and weaker and go away. 3 to 4 months. So this is the total of 7 to 10 months, adding up the sequencing here. And then the next part is the part, he doesn't put a time on it, but it's the part that I'm kind of saying, you know, we can see that we're targeting somewhere around a year of doing this stuff before we get some great advantage. Then he says, sometimes people feel that they have perfect control over their minds. But that is not accurate. Because even if they control the conscious mind, like we were just talking about, they cannot control the unknown unconscious mind, which is extensive. Ultimately, they can, but initially, at this point, you cannot control the unconscious mind, he's saying. The unconscious is a vast reservoir of impressions resulting from our deeds, actions, desires, and emotions, including all of them from this life alone, if we believe there's no such thing as reincarnation. If we happen to know that we've been here before, then it's the accumulation of all of that over all those times, sitting there in the storage. The unconscious is a vast reservoir of the impressions resulting from our deeds, actions, desires, and emotions. These latent, dormant levels of mind remain unknown to the aspirant, but not to the yogi. That's me saying. Even when the conscious mind has become seemingly calm, those thoughts which were the habitual thoughts, that last paragraph. Remember, we said the habitual thoughts are letting go automatically. Even when the conscious mind has become seemingly calm, a single impression, such as memory, which of course is specifically a memory, that arises from the unconscious can suddenly distort the mind, the surface of the mind, exactly the way that a pebble's splash can disturb the smooth surface of a lake. So I have a quiet, calm, conscious mind, and out of the deep past, all of a sudden, here comes this memory coming forward. Boom, and it's like a rock going into splashing in the lake, and all of a sudden, here's all these ripples again. Human emotion is an immense power which usually operates below the surface of the lake of mind, emotion, like a fish swimming underwater. It's easy to imagine a little pond, a nice little lake sitting there with a smooth surface, and there's fish swimming around under it. And if you've seen, a fish does like this, and often it'll come near the surface, and there's a little splash that happens when his fin touches the surface or gets close, and there's ripples go out there. It's a fish. It's a beautiful metaphor. I'm sorry to say that when they re-edit this book, the editor changed fish into sharks. A very, very different image. I wish it wasn't so, but I think it has to be mentioned, because when you go buy the book to read it, if that emotion is not guided, it can pollute and contaminate the whole lake of mind. In this endeavor with those emotions that are coming from deep old memories, like the splash, students need to learn patience with themselves. Actually, our impressions, thought patterns, and emotions are identical to our own deeds, because a thought is virtually a deed. Thoughts lead to action. So the actions that we're doing, the body languages even the body languages we're doing, are a mirror reflection of something going on in the unconscious. Like when we were talking before about, a knee moving or fingers tapping or things like that. This is why in that part about observing ourselves, we want to observe our gestures and body language, because they're mirror images of what's going on inside, and at the same time observe the thinking process within. Remember when we saw that? And so this is saying the same thing, because a thought virtually is a deed. Deed is an action. So the deed as an action is an expression of the underlying thought that is occurring in the interplay of manas, chitta, ahamkara, and buddhi.